Okay, so let's start. Now Malin asked us to present today because the last time it was a kind of concrete examples of what we have been doing, and we will go into that a bit more today as well. But we will also do some reflections, not only on the SwePass project, but also from the industry we're working in. So today we're going to talk about a short update, but then we go through some different topics that we think are really important from a product information perspective, but also connected to the DPP, of course. So the requirements, we talk about the battery passport because that is something we have digged into quite deeply to look into what attributes or what information that is necessary in the DPP. What can it be used for? A set of vision, and then we have different product cases for the products. We have existing products. We have maybe we need to update the products, or we do create new products in the company. So how do we think there? Then digitalization and structuring of data information, and then some business benefits. Let's see how much we have time for here. So Malin, you need to stop me when it's time. Yeah. We are in the work package 8. This is the update from that one. We are working with Mickey Toys, and we have been working with the Baby Walker. We've also been working with the Quran game, but mainly with the Baby Walker. And as you've heard it before, we have digged into this product. We have looked into the parts of the product. We have looked into the drawings. The drawings came from China in Chinese, so we need to translate them into English. So this is also some reflection we did. Much of the information in small and medium-sized companies, I think, are outsourced and also managed in China or Asia, not even translated into English or Swedish. We digitalized that information into ARAS PLM tool, Product Lifecycle Management tool, as you can see down to the right. And of course, now the next step is now to look into how we can create a DPP out of this information. So how we do the supplier collaboration in ARAS. And then we have a new partner here, Mediatek.net, that will do the digital product passport solution for us. So we will expect to have a prototype finished by September 2026. So maybe next time we have this open meeting, we can show end-to-end solution from the requirements to product development to how we create the DPP in the end. But digitalization doesn't help if you lack the product and information structure, and we will take in this later on, how you structure your information in a better way. So this is the situation in many companies today. You need to create a DPP, you need to find your data for the DPP, but you run around in the company and try to find it. Where is it? And people don't know. And who's responsible for the data? And where is it? So this is how it looks in many companies today, and it's much in PDF and not digitalized in a good way, and not structured in a good way.
Yeah, so I'll take over for a short bit here. So yeah, as this AI-generated image shows chaos, and actually we see that in all industries we are working with, and many companies, big and small, doesn't matter. It's just it's a gradient from being slightly ordered to total chaos. So here we are going to talk a little bit about how to attack this problem, and what we see that the companies need to do. And also a little bit how to think. And we're going to start with just taking a step back and looking at what are your actual requirements in the DPP context. Because we see that many companies don't really know exactly how to look into what do we need to do. And I think that's very important for companies to actually look into our what products do I have? What product groups do we need to look into? What does ESPR say about them? What delegated acts will there be for these product groups? Are there other legislative work affecting your product groups? We've heard about CPR, we hear about toys and so on. And there's a lot of things going on, and each company really needs to figure out and look into what's valid for them. In some cases, maybe there are very little, and in some cases there are a lot. Looking into, for example, the battery passport, and I will come into that, you use that as an example. Okay, this is how it looks for the battery passport. What kind of information is needed here in this standard? And use it as an advanced example, because it's really quite advanced actually. Then also now, as we have heard already today, that these more IT and hardware requirements, the standards are now out, at least most of them. There are a few missing still, but download them. What they cost a little bit, but you need to check them and make sure that you can fulfill the requirements there. It's good to follow these standards, I think. Even though it's not a rule book, it's still a pointer to what you need to do. Next. So we have been digging down into the battery passport in many different contexts, but what we see a lot in the discussions and the questions we get is, well, what will there be for my products, and how much data will there be, and how can I figure this out? How difficult will it be? And looking at the battery passport, it's a lot. There are 100 attributes. Not all attributes are valid for all battery types. And now in this battery passport, we are talking about everything from bicycle batteries and upwards bigger batteries. Quite a lot of the batteries are only for stationary batteries. For example, different dynamic attributes because they need to be connected, so IoT connected. But what can you also find in this standard? Yes, you can find the access rules. You can find the data type and unit you need to use, if there's mandatory or recommended for each attribute, and so on. And it's quite important to look into that and understand the concepts of this, and understand that these standards are actually quite detailed. Looking into the attributes here, there's a lot of information on how to treat them and what it actually is. What is the information you need to gather? And that's good to understand. And then a thing like here, it's printed on the label. Should the attribute be also printed on a physical label? And that's very important in a product like the battery, where you actually need to see on the product what is the battery. For example, there are fire hazards and stuff like that, and might be some toxic materials and stuff. And then last but not least, the information level. And we have also heard people speaking about this earlier today. Well, when you look into the information level, we often talk about the product level. Do we need to have one DPP per item or batch or model? And that's really important to understand what granularity you have for your product. But the majority of the attributes are actually, in this case, on the model level. So you find that information once for the model, and then you have the same data in all the DPPs, even though there is a single DPP on each item. And that makes a huge difference in how hard it is to collect that data. Yes, we can move on, I think. So, and then I think it's important for companies when they move into this and to see how can we use the DPP and what do we want to use the DPP for. It's of course can be seen as just another legal requirement, and that is like the base level. But it can be very much more, and I think that we hear a lot of stories and ideas on how to use the DPP as something more than actually just an information, legal requirement information portal. So you can use it to improve your customer relations and customer values. You can use it for a competitive edge with increased transparency, so you have more, maybe more data than is required. You can use it for storytelling and marketing. You can use it for tool product control using circular business models. We'll come back briefly to business models soon. You can use it actually internally, information to employees, technicians, and partner companies. We have discussed, we talked to people working in shops. So they realized that it would be wonderful to have a DPP so they knew the content of products that are in the shop. When they have hundreds of items or products in the shop, they can of course not know everything. But if there is a DPP, they will know what content there is in a product, and they also will know what they can say about it, because sometimes there might be stuff that they are not allowed to say. So they don't need to call the headquarters to ask questions all the time. But instead you have the DPP, it's clear. And this is also closely related to what type of company you are. So if you're an importer, what do you need then? Are you setting your own brand on the product? So you pretty much buy a product from a company and just change the name. Are you designing the products? Are you also producing them? Are you a business-to-business company or business-to-customer company, and so on? So there's a lot of things that you need to figure out. How should we work with DPP and what's the value in it for us? Yes, next. And also regarding what type of company you are, it's of course also then what kind of business model you are using, and will there be another business model in the future for future products? There is quite a lot of benefits of moving from a linear to a circular model, and I think that this needs to be clarified and marketed, I think, in general, because many think that the linear model is still the one that where you can earn money, most money, but that's not true anymore if you really dig into the details. But here are a few examples. So product as a service, of course, then profitability, you shift the revenue from one-off sales to recurring fees. You have a longer life on your products, and you can shift the product from one customer to another when the first one don't want it anymore. You can use usage data to enable upsell and so on. For sustainability, of course, the owners keep the material in the supplier loops. So you have a longer loop of the material, so you reduce the virgin material demands. And you drive design for durability and repairability, because of course you want your product to stay on the market and generate these recurring fees as long as possible. And here you can use the DPP for tracking assets, conditions, service history. You show your users how to do end-of-life collection or reuse planning, and you support a lot of the compliance work that is needed. Also, and in the bottom here, you have a few examples of companies that actually use this kind of business models. So in both business-to-business setups, but also business-to-customer consumer setups. Remanufacturing and refurbishment, you can reuse your parts, especially expensive parts or parts. You might have parts in your product that have a very long lifespan, while the product as a total does not. Then you can reuse these parts and lessen the production cost a lot. You can also have new revenue streams from return products. And of course, it's sustainability, or again, here you use much less energy reusing parts than making new parts. You extend product life and you lower the scope of emissions in the supply chain, of course. And also here you have using the DPP to track component history and grades and so on, and speed up sorting and recertification process if that's needed. And you can build the buyer's trust. So by having the correct information in your DPP, the second user of a product can have more trust in what you sell. And I think trust is something that's very important related to customers in general. And DPP is a great way to build that trust. Yes, and then the last one, take back and resale. I will skip that. You get this information later. Next. Then we have a different product case set, existing and updated and new. Of course, you have different situation on how to collect information. When you have existing products, then you check your requirements and then you create the information that you already have, and maybe you need to create some new or find. You need to find your information that's probably available in your company, but if it looks like the image we had earlier, it might take some time. But looking into improving and especially even new products, then you should really start to look into what do we want to present already at the design phase. So you can know set your targets. You need to know what kind of business model you design for. So you design for a longer life. If you design for this assembly to easily collect these used parts that you want to remanufacture and use again, and so on. So you really need to look into the design, and a lot of your impact, of course, of the product is decided in the design, as we see in this image. And we then discuss what we have shown in this demo with ARAS is this expected DPP. And when you do that, it's also when you actually design your supply chain. So that is done in the supply chain is actually set during the development. And I think that many people don't really realize that. Because when you look into an existing product, of course, you need to find the supply chain, the existing supply chain. But when you design a new product, you actually you choose the raw materials, you choose the subcomponents, you choose how to assemble them and who should assemble them maybe, and so on. So you actually build the whole supply chain, and this is important both for what information you want to be found in the digital product passport, but also to design to sustainability in general, of course. Yes, and with that, I leave a little bit to Jörgen about digitalization.
So Malin, how many minutes do we have left?
Well, 5. How many do you
That's
want?
okay. Then I know.
Yeah.
Thank you. We talk a lot about digitalization because that will, of course, help companies in finding and searching for information. But we also say that in parallel, you must build a way to structure your data and information to be able to search and use it and reuse it. So it's not only to digitalize things, you also need to do a structure of your different information objects. So a successful digitalization from our experiences can be done, of course, but we need that top management commitment and drive this. This is also going for DPP, of course, and a budget, because it will cost, it will be some investments in this, both from changing the processes, but also changing maybe the supporting application and the IT systems. Also putting people at the center. It's very important that you get people with you in this change, that they accept it, because it's change for both procurement, for product development, for service technicians, for sales in the shops, and so on. And it, of course, creates systems that support people and the daily work they do. Also, you're talking about the AI, that's very popular right now. This is on the system side, you can, of course, support it from that with the system integration, information automation, and personal assistance, personal UIs, so you get your own user interface and so on. But you also see that AI cannot do the people things, lead for a change project, organize workshops, decide on how to work in the best ways. So do the right, we see that processes and information, the business processes, look into that. Where do we manage data and information that is necessary for the products, including the sustainability data? You need to create your common business language in the company, but also between companies. What is an article? What is a product? What is a screw? What is whatever it can be? And also what attributes that are necessary to describe these parts. And that can, of course, be all these 100 attributes that we have. So for the battery passports, what are they? What are they used for? With the data and information experiences we have, so include this in the business processes, engage people and describe why it's important, decide on this common business language. Now we are moving in from also to take the decision of ownership of the information. We saw that from the Mickey case, all was outsourced to China. You need to bring it back to your own company to manage it in a good way and have a structure for how to manage it. You need to find your master data. Where is it? Where do we manage it? And actually, how can I change that? It's also change process regarding that, and of course also integrations to systems that are reading this master data. And also important, data quality. It's not only about data. You need to have quality in that. How do you secure that it is the correct data? How can I trust it? Now we're also moving into information owners that actually can change this and master it, and not only the system owners. Now we're a bit granular down to the information owners, and that is not easy to find. And with all above then in place, you can, of course, decide the system support and the integrations that are necessary to support your organizations. And in the end, we will have this instead with a duck and the surface on the surface. And below, you have nice people and happy people working with data and information, including, of course, the DPP in the end. What we also will say in the end here is that there are so much other advantages with digitalization and structuring information. And we also see that if you don't have data quality, if you don't have structure in your data, it's impossible to build a platform for your AR services, which everybody's talking about. So start from the bottom, build the platform with your information, structure it, and then you can digitalize it and use different tools to support your organization. And that was our presentation model.